Rather than me muddle around trying to tell you how, Albo just free-ranging on whether wages policy should also be linked to inflation, let's actually get a bloke who knows what he's talking about. There's none other than Terry McCrann, who joins us now from Melbourne. Great man. Is the assumption correct that if he wants to link wage rises to inflation, that one feeds the other and it never stops?
Absolutely. Well, it can stop, Paul, and we'll get to that. But yes, absolutely. I mean, what Albo has really blundered into threatening, promising Australia is if he becomes Prime Minister, he would unleash a wages prices spiral, where you get wages going up, chasing that higher prices, that higher inflation, and that in turn sparks even higher inflation, which feeds back into higher wages. It's pretty simple. But the last time we really saw this in Australia was in the 1980s. And how did it end? It ended with interest rates nearly 20%, home loan interest rates at 17%, fortunately only for a few months, but a few months of very severe pain. I mean, Paul, we had a rise last week in the Reserve Bank's official cash rate, which threatens, quote unquote, to take the basic home loan rate to about 2.5% to 3%. That 2.5% to 3%, how would people out there with a $400,000 mortgage, a $600,000 mortgage, actually like to see their interest rates go to, say, 15%? That's the sort of promise that Albo has totally cluelessly, because he doesn't have the slightest idea what he's doing and what the consequence of what he says will create. That's exactly the threat that he gave. I mean, we saw inflation at 5%. Inflation, that's the highest it's been in Australia pretty much since going back into the 1990s. The last time it was this high was the GST in 2000. But that's where it's starting. And the very real prospect is that we could get into an inflation problem. And if we join that with wages being raised to chase that inflation, we really have a disastrous outcome.